Amigos, welcome one, welcome all. It is time for another exciting edition of, you guessed it, the show with no name here on Vaughn Radio. So hold on to your hats because it's time for liftoff.
10,
Let's get
9,
going.
8, 7,
6,
5,
5, 4, 3,
2,
come
1,
on.
ignition,
Yes.
liftoff,
Yes.
liftoff, 30 minutes.
The moment you've been waiting for. Let's get moving. Get ready. Hold on to your hats. Strap on your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelts. Hold on to your hats. Get ready for the ride of your life. The show with no name time on Vaughn Radio. It's the show with no name. Let's go. Welcome, show with no namers. That's for you. Thank you for all the energy you put into this show every day. And it's evident. It's evident when I hear you guys in our question of the week, when I see your comments, that you guys have really got a handle on English. To have a handle on something is lo tienes controlado. We're kicking off with some awesome vocabulary already. Hey, it's the same thing I tell my daughter. My daughter said, wow, he's a really good skateboarder. I said, do you know how many times he fell? Do you know how many hours he's practiced? That's why he's a good skateboarder. So nothing comes without a little energy, without a little effort. And with that comes time. I love these people who say, Alberto, I want to learn English. I only have an hour a week. I'm like, okay, cool. Good luck. I can't help you. Okay, you might. You're going to be learning something. It's better than nothing. But an hour a week? I mean, let's apply it to the gym. Good luck. I guess if you eat like a saint, like a pauper, como un pobre, maybe. But you got to put in the time and effort it takes to do anything in life. We don't just, I think of somebody like Leo Messi. Yeah, he's talented. He was born with talent. But then you have to add all the extra hours and all the training, right? I mean, even talented people need to put in the time and effort to develop that talent, right? But I know I don't have to tell you that because you guys do it day after day, week after week, month after month. So keep it up. That's all I'll say. Keep it up. Seguid así. All right, let's rock and roll into today's first exercise. It's a listening exercise. Plus, we learn how to sum things up while we hear all different accents. It's the Say What soundbite. Come on. Say what? What? That's right, amigos. It is the Say What soundbite. You will hear every accent under the sun in this section. From Birmingham, not Birmingham, Birmingham. It's Birmingham. You might hear a London accent, or maybe like an Eastern London accent, like this. Sometimes we go over to Australia. Sometimes you got Boston. I left the car keys at in my yard. That's Boston. And then you got New York, where we talk in New York and have some coffee. I love accents. Ever since I was a kid, I loved imitating different accents. And my daughter loves doing it too. But also, that's how you fine-tune your ear and your mouth. As I said yesterday, your mouth shouldn't feel like it does when you're speaking Spanish. It should feel a little bit off, because it is. Yesterday that we were looking at that zzz sound. I don't think that sound exists in Spanish, or the I. I know you have but not I, right? But the sooner you are familiar with these sounds, know how to replicate these sounds, well, the more understandable your English will be. And yes, accents can be sexy until they're distracting, right? Because I know some students say, well, I have an accent. It's sexy. Yeah. But if I don't understand what you're saying, it loses that sexiness, right? You're like, he's a nice guy. He's got a funny accent, but I don't know what the fuck the guy's on about. Also, a quick reminder, folks, to all of you who'd like to participate in our Say What soundbite. No, our question of the week. Say What soundbite we're going to do right now. Question of the week. What are the pros and cons of AI? Firstly, we don't say IA. Muchos alumnos veo en clase dicen IA. I'm like, no, that's Spanish. We flip it. Just like ADN is DNA. Or UCI is ICU. Yeah, yo te veo. ICU. In fact, one of my favorite rappers, Notorious Big, Biggie Smalls, he goes, when I see you down in ICU, cuando te veo en la UCI. Really, really cool play on words. So what are the pros and cons of AI? This is a very hot topic, and it's something we should be able to discuss. I mean, you're going to be talking about it during the holidays at Christmas time, so you might as well learn how to talk about these topics in English. And one of the most important things about our question of the week is you're learning to express yourself on a wide range of different topics and defend your answer. You know, it's not just, well, I believe this. Okay, prove it. Show us why you believe that. I'm open-minded. I'd love to see it your way, but you gotta open up my mind there. So this is really an exercise to get you speaking, to get you to defend your point of view. And as always, since we look at all kinds of topics, well, you can expect to talk about everything. In fact, next week, we're going to be looking at what your favorite indoor activity is. Algo que haces no en el exterior. Okay, it can be reading a book, it can be bowling, but you got to defend your answer. And the only person who can participate in that one is Anix. Well, because she already sent me this week's. Anix, you are ahead of the game, como se dice. Ya vas con ventaja. So if you'd like to participate, and I urge you to, because I think every student could use some speaking practice, ¿no? Le vendría bien un poco de speaking. So this week, what are the pros and cons of AI? And next week's is, what is your favorite indoor activity? We've got outdoor, which is al aire libre, and indoor. Well, with the winter approaching, well, I figured that would be a good thing to talk about. All right. So if you'd like to participate, you can send a 1-minute voice note. You can send it to aalonso@grupovon.com, which is my email address. And also, if you'd like to send suggestions, in fact, today, special shout out to Elena. She sent us today's Double Trouble. So, Elena, naturally, you can't participate today because you already know the answer. All right, my amigos. So, without any further ado, sin más, I'm going to play the Say What soundbite now for the first time. You know what to do. Give it a listen. See what you get from it. See if you can get the main idea, right? The point of what's being said, as well as your observations. And then hopefully by the end of the show, you'll be able to get it word for word. All right, here we go.
Now, let me tell you, like, jazz is the last refuge of the untalented. Jazz musicians enjoy themselves far more than anyone listening to it. It's like theatre. It's what you do when you can't get a gig.
Hey, honey, do you know when the next Vaughn Radio Trivia Night is?
Yeah, Daddy. It's on Tuesday, November 4th at 8 p.m. And you're hosting.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're so forgetful, Daddy. What will you do without me?
You're absolutely right, honey. I am a bit absent-minded. Thanks for your help.
Don't mention it. Just mark your calendar. Tuesday, November 4th at 8 p.m. We'll meet you at the Toast Tap Room.
Okay, so let me make sure I've got it. Tuesday, November 4th at 8 p.m. at the Toast Tap Room, Calle San Vicente Ferrer, 33.
Yeah, you got it, Daddy. Be there or be square, amigos.
Excellent.
All right, folks. I know you aren't envious people, but a lot of our friends that I've sent it to, students of mine, friends of mine, all kinds of people, even family members are like, oh my God, your daughter's English is amazing. Well, just remember, she's been learning since day one. She's a great student. She's got a wonderful ear for music and for everything. And she loves it. She loves to, she comes in and she says, Dad, can we record something on the microphone? So she is always ready to participate, and she's coming. She is coming to the next Vaughn Radio Trivia Night, as well as my wife. I know Chris Valrol is going to be in town. Richard Vaughn has already confirmed, and so many other people. I will tell you this. It starts at 8. But I would highly recommend you get there around 7:30. Why? It's going to be packed. I'm telling you now, we are going to pack the place, because just with the people that have confirmed, and then you've got your regulars, there are usually about 20 to 30 people who go every month. And a nice shout out to all of you, because that's another way of practicing your English, meeting people. We had such a great time at Jules. Jules hosted last month, this month, October, and it was amazing. So November 4th, as my daughter said, mark your calendars, and we'll see you at the Toast Tap Room. Really looking forward to it, and it's going to be fun. As always, I usually base my questions on pop culture, fun things. And my trivia nights, just in case you're listening right now and you're thinking, can I bring the kids? Hell yeah, bring them. Bring them. In fact, since I know there are going to be other kids there, other youngsters, the questions are going to be kind of family oriented, para toda la familia. So whether you're 75 or 7, you should be able to get a few questions. We'll see you there. It is November 4th. It starts at 8, so that means get there at 7:30, and it's at the Toast Tap Room, which is in Malasaña. If you're following Vaughn on social media, they should be sharing the image. I made an image this weekend, and my daughter helped me with the image as well. So she helped me with the radio ad and the image, and who knows, maybe she's going to help me out on the 4th as well when we're answering the questions. I hope to see you all there, familia, because it is always a fun, enriching event. All right, let's rock and roll with today's pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Yeah. Let's go. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. That's right, folks. Welcome to your pop quiz. This is where we take a look at one of the many materials available at vaughntienda.com. Remember, we've got an online bookshop where we have everything you need, whether you need to go over the nuts and bolts of grammar, whether you need to brush up on, darle un repaso to brush up on your phrasal verbs, whatever it may be, we've got you covered. Just go to vaughntienda.com. Also, if you're in Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, Vigo, Valladolid, Valencia, Santander, Zaragoza, Las Tablas, or Pozuelo, those last two are also in Madrid, well, feel free to stop by. Introduce yourself. You can get a free level test as well, which is great because, well, it's just an analysis, an assessment, una valoración of where you are on your English journey. And especially you guys who are putting in hours a week. Well, you might want to know where you stand, what your strengths and weaknesses are. I know they always help you because your strengths you exploit, your weaknesses you work on. Right? Well, today we're looking at something that's got everything. It is a very complete material. It's called Inglés Gramática Fácil. Again, Inglés Gramática Fácil. If you Google that, I can also share the link with you here in the chat room. So it's just one click away. There you go. $15.75. So just under 16 euros for 180 lessons. 180 lessons, around 4 hours of useful audio. And we're going to listen to a little bit right now. Now, what do I want you to do? Listen carefully, because I will have some questions for you afterwards.
Day 43. Present perfect interrogative. Listening challenge. Claudia, have you made breakfast?
Yes, I have.
Have you made the bed?
No, I haven't.
Have you done the laundry?
Yes, I have.
Have you done the dishes?
Yes, I have.
Have you done the shopping?
No, I haven't.
Have you made an appointment with the dentist?
No, I haven't.
Have you made a doctor's appointment?
Yes, I have.
Have you spoken to your grandmother?
Yes, I have.
Have you sent your friend a card for his birthday?
Yes, I have.
Have you sent him a present?
No, I haven't.
Have you spoken to your dad?
No, I haven't.
Have you picked up the kids from school?
Yes, I have.
Have you picked up the package from the post office?
No, I haven't.
Day 44. Have you ever... Listening challenge. Ask me if I've ever been bungee jumping. Ask me if I've ever been to New Zealand. Ask me if my dad has ever forgotten my birthday. Ask me if my colleague has ever asked me for help. Ask me if my neighbours have ever had a dog.
Day 45. Pasatiempo. To buy, I've bought. To be, I've been. To see, I've seen. To write, I've written. To hear, I've heard. To take, I've taken. To do, I've done. To eat, I've eaten. To drink, I've drunk. To have, I've had. To break, I've broken. To send, I've sent. To show, I've shown. To go, I've gone. To come, I've come.
Day 58. So versus such. Listening challenge. She's so talented that she's won 5 awards. She's such an amazing actress. She's such a famous actress that everyone recognizes her. She's so famous that everyone recognizes her. She works so much that she doesn't have any free time. She's so talented that she's won 5 awards. She's such a talented artist that she's won many awards. She's so famous that everyone recognizes her. She's such an amazing actress. She's so talented that she's won 5 awards.
Day 56. For versus during. Listening challenge. Rose usually works during the summer and then takes some time off in October. Last year, she went to France for 2 weeks and rented a car. She visited many castles during her trip.
All right, there you go, folks. Some really good concepts in English. Again, this is straight from Inglés, Gramática Fácil. You can pick it up at Von Tienda for $15.75, just under 16 euros for 180 lessons. And again, with audio, which we already know the importance of that audio, because then you can make sure you're saying it right and you're hearing it right? And that's such an important part in language learning. All right, now let's see what I want from y'all. You all es como nosotros decimos vosotros, y'all. Seguro que lo has visto escrito, Y''A''All. What are y'all doing tomorrow? Y'all. Now, in New York, we say use. It's incorrect, but it does make sense. You, tú, use, vosotros. Now, técnicamente es you and you. También usamos el mucho you guys, pero luego hay gente, I'm not a guy. It's like, yeah, it's to talk about a group. Like, not everything has to be, turned into a, like some kind of lesson. So, yeah, in New York, we say, what are you doing? Tú. What are yous doing? Vosotros. Again, it's not grammatically correct, but it makes more sense than having the same word for vosotros and tú, right? And again, in the South, a lot of people say y'all. Where are y'all going? Y'all, you all. Y se contrae y'all. I'm sure y'all have heard it before. Otra también es you guys, right? Bueno, no hay que distinguir. I can say, what are you doing for the trivia night? Hablando con todos. But if I say, what are you guys doing? Queda claro que estoy hablando con el grupo. All right. These are just ways that we have of making sure there's no miscommunication. All right. Now, the first thing is a very common structure that we heard, and it's haz, and you can choose the verb you want. Haz lo que sea alguna vez. In fact, if you'd like, you can ask me a question and I'll answer it. ¿Has jugado al ajedrez alguna vez? ¿Has probado paracaidismo? Be creative. If you want me to answer it, I'll answer it. So, haz lo que sea. You can choose the verb alguna vez. Okay, it's a very important structure that we need to know in any language. No, ¿has probado la tortilla alguna vez? ¿Has ido a... You can be creative there and give us your own example. The next one is concretar una cita. We heard that too. It's a really important one because it's not a date. A date es más una cita like romántica, right? But una cita con el médico, unless you and your doctor have got something going on there. Maybe it is a date, right? Oh, okay, so concretar una cita. Think of it. A lo mejor tienes que concretar una cita más adelante. So use it again. The more you use it in real context, the more likely you'll be to use it in your real life, right? Instead of just using random sentences. So piensa, ¿tienes que concretar una cita? ¿O has concretado una cita hace poco? Well, give it to us. Tell us in English. That is number 2. And number 3, I love it. You say to do bridging. Hacer puenting. To do bridging. In English, it's not. Well, tell us. Puedes decir, nunca he hecho. Me gustaría hacer. Nunca haría. Use, challenge yourself. Don't just use the present tense, is what I mean. Oh, my brother likes puenting. Okay, that's fine. But what if we just say, pues siempre he querido, no me atrevo a hacer, preferiría no. Try and use different structures because it's a good opportunity to practice, especially when all I'm asking you there is the verb hacer puenting. So you can put it into whatever context makes sense to you. All right, so number 1, ¿has hecho tal cosa alguna vez? Okay, that's your first one. The second one, use the structure concretar una cita in the way you would normally use it. And the last one, hacer puenting. A lo mejor me puedes decir, nunca he hecho, me gustaría hacer, nunca haría, no me podrías pagar todo el dinero del mundo para hacer puenting. Okay? That is your pop quiz. As always, we'll check your answers. But right now, we have got to go to a quick commercial break, amigos. When we come back, we're going to listen to the Say What soundbite for the second time. Also, we'll go over your pop quiz answers and your Say What soundbite observations. We also have our news report where we're going to look at some critters today. Do you know what critters are? Well, you will after this quick commercial break. So stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back to part 2 of today's show with no name here on Von Radio. And I was just thinking about our Say What soundbite today. It's a tough one. I think so. But I love this guy. I can tell you right now, he's an actor. And he is not from my area. Not even from my side of the pond, El Charco. But he's awesome. I remember the first time I saw this guy, I was like, this guy is a character. One of these people that, like, when he comes on into the scene, you don't, like, you're already, like, intrigued. It happens with Will Ferrell. You know, you start laughing before he even opens his mouth. So, yeah, that's our Say What soundbite. We're also going to check your pop quiz answers. And we'll be taking a look at some crook critters. Do you know the word critter? A critter is like un bicho. Let's see how they translate it here. Critter, bicho, cojijo. Oh, I never heard that one. También lo decimos para ti, chavales. I got a little critter running around at home. A child, right? Bicho, crío. A critter. Oh, well, we've got some crazy critters in our news report. Also today, we're going to be looking at wacky world records. And coincidentally, it has something to do with puenting. Yeah. Puenting Tarantino. All right, I can't take credit. That's my wife's joke. So if you didn't like it, talk to her. If you liked it, well... We're always playing with words, not just here on the radio. I'll tell you something. In my family, it's how we pass the time. Yeah, it's true. We change the lyrics to songs. My daughter's an expert at that. But it's cool. Once you can do that, it means you feel comfortable enough using the language that you can play around. You can have fun with it. And that is mastery. Dominación, ¿no? Del idioma. Mastery. To master is dominar. Well, mastery is the noun. And there we go, playing with words again. Tenemos, pues, yo ya sé que todos sabéis masters, porque, bueno, Vaughan tiene un masters. ¿Y qué haces en el masters? Dominas el idioma. You get mastery, dominación, I think. Dominación de origen is what pops into my mind there. All right, well, we've got a lot of stuff to do. So let me give you the Say What soundbite. I'm going to give it to you for the second time. And I see we've already got some people picking it apart and dissecting it. Here it is for the second time.
Now, let me tell you, like, jazz is the last refuge of the untalented. Jazz musicians enjoy themselves far more than anyone listening to it. It's like theatre. It's what you do when you can't get a gig.
Hey, Damian, what's crack-a-lackin', buddy?
Hey, Alberto, I was planning to do some sports this week. What about playing baseball?
Ooh, baseball. I love it. But I'm not sure yet. Can we touch base next week?
Touch base. Estamos en contacto, ¿no? Hablamos en algún momento. Yeah, okay. Let's touch base. Okay, what about basketball? Do you want to play basketball?
Oh, man, I love basketball. It's one of my favorite sports. But I don't know if I can this weekend because I've already got plans. Oh, man, that's the way the ball bounces.
That's the way the ball bounces. Así están las cosas, ¿no? Así bota la pelota. Así bota la pelota. That's the way the ball bounces. I love that expression. Okay, what about tennis? Do you want to play tennis?
Well, I love tennis, but I'm not really a good player. If you don't mind playing with a novice, the ball's in your court, buddy.
La bola está en mi campo, ¿eh? La pelota está en mi tejado. All right. Do you want to play some soccer?
Sure, I'd love to play some soccer or football, as you call it. What time do we kick off?
Perfect. We're kicking off at 9. Are you available?
Sure, but I might have to play some golf before with some friends. It's par for the course.
It's par for the course. Es lo normal, ¿no? Es lo normalito, lo que se hace.
Mhm.
Okay, what about billiards? Do you like playing billiards?
Yeah, but right now I'm behind the 8 ball.
I'm behind the 8 ball. Estás detrás de la bola 8, como que llevas las de perder.
Yeah, wow, a lot of idiomatic expressions here.
Muy buenas expresiones. Si es que así da gusto aprender inglés con un profe como Alberto y un poquito de creatividad, tienes This Book is the Shit. El mejor libro para aprender inglés que te has echado a la cara in your life. Píllatelo, vas a disfrutar mogollón de dibujos para que lo aprendas todo fácil, con conexiones lógicas y divertidas. Es la manera más sencilla y más divertida de aprender inglés. No te la pierdas.
Damián, you're such a good sport. Te enrollas. You can pick up your copy of This Book is the Shit at
Vaughantienda.com.
It's the Shit. That's right, folks. This book is the shit. You can pick it up at Von Tienda. It's my latest book. I've got a total of 5 books at Von Tienda and also on Amazon, also at Casa del Libro. So wherever you get fine books, you can pick up This Book is the Shit. But today we're not looking at This Book is the Shit. Excuse me. I'm hiccups over there. Elipo, we say hiccups. Well, today we're looking at Inglés Gramática Fácil. And we looked at some really good structures here. Now, a couple things I wanted to highlight before we check your answers. The word colleague. We heard the word colleague in there. Can I tell you something? In the United States, that word is way too formal. Yeah. You know, it sounds like you're scientists and you're on the verge of a breakthrough. I have gotten together with my colleagues and we have cured cancer. Okay, cool. But we would say coworkers, classmates, si es en un ámbito del cole. So, yeah, colleague. Y además muchos dicen, lo pronuncian mal. Dicen college, right? Acuérdate esto, si lo vas a usar, la liga, pues quita la A al final, league. Eso es colleague. Again, to me, it sounds really, really formal. So coworker, classmate, you can say workmate as well. But I don't know, in the States, it's kind of a formal word. All right. All right. Let's see. Also, irregular verbs. We heard there it was a good exercise to give you, okay, take, I've taken. See, I've seen. That's the only way to practice irregular verbs. Because if you just say see, saw, seen, what are you doing? Absolutely nothing. Okay, seen. How do I use it now? I'm just saying words, throwing them out there in the air. So the idea is not to practice the words, to practice using them. All right, let's practice. Okay, the easy way to do this, I think the best way to do it, in the Vaughn method, it's the way we do it. Every day I. Primera columna, presente simple. Yesterday, I, pasado simple. And lately, I've, que sería el participio, the present perfect. So I'll give you some, okay? Every day, I bring a sandwich. Yesterday, Yesterday, I brought a sandwich. Lately, I've brought a sandwich. So ese v es muy importante, porque en ese caso es la única diferencia entre la segunda columna y la tercera, right? Yesterday, I brought. Lately, I've brought. Hay veces que puedes comerte sílabas. Esa no. Okay? Let's try some more. Every winter, I catch a cold. Last winter, I caught. No caught. Caught. Last winter, I caught a cold. And lately, I've caught a lot of colds. Okay? Every day, I drive people crazy. Para usar otra que no sea conducir. Otro uso. Yesterday, I drove my daughter crazy. Lately, I've driven everybody crazy. All right. Every day, I eat an early dinner. Yesterday, en voz alta, si no, ¿qué estamos practicando? Yesterday, I ate an early dinner. Lately, I've eaten dinner pretty early. All right. Every day, I stand up for what I believe in. Defiendo mis convicciones. Yesterday, I stood up for what I believe in. And lately, I've stood up for what I believe in. So again, remember this, when you learn come, que sería every day I come on time, yesterday I came on time, lately I've come on time. Remember, you're not just learning come. There are like another 7 phrasal verbs that use the word come. So you're not just learning to conjugate one word. Blow, to blow up, to blow out, right? So the moment you know how to conjugate that verb, then you can apply it to all the phrasal verbs that come along with it as well, which makes it easy. You don't have to learn to conjugate another 25 words. It's just, you have to remember the preposition that goes with it, but the conjugation is exactly the same. Let's do 2 or 3 more. Okay, every day I forget what I was going to say. Yesterday, I forgot what I was going to say. And lately, vamos con él o ella. Lately, she's forgotten. Porque ya el v es has. En vez de have es has. Y ese se contrae con apóstrofe S. Lately, he's eaten a lot. Ha comido mucho últimamente. Right? Lately, he's caught many colds. Okay, so just be aware, and all you have to do, I mean, literally, you know what I did? I just said irregular verb list, and voila, I've got hundreds of them on Google, and you can practice them. And if you're a higher level, you can practice them with phrasal verbs. So every summer, I break up with my girlfriend. Last summer, I broke up with, en vez de solo usar break como romper. So this way, you're doubling up. You're practicing conjugating aloud and these structures. You're also brushing up on some of the most common phrasal verbs. All right, that is the real way to practice those, because then you're not just practicing words, random words, but you're practicing using them, and you're also reinforcing in your head, ¿por qué he dicho lately? ¿Por qué he dicho I've eaten? Pues porque sigue abierto, right? I've eaten a lot lately. That doesn't mean I'm done. I might eat some more, right? So lately, últimamente, lo deja abierto. All right, my amigos, I see we've got a lot of people here. Oh, wait. Oh, and one more thing. Sure. Another thing I almost forgot, and this is a big one. So and such. Yeah. Okay, so how do we use so and such? I'm so hungry. I'm such a hungry guy. Any questions? So goes with an adjective, right? Because I've heard people say, I'm such hungry. No, puedes usar hungry, pero tienes que usar sustantivo también. So he's such a tall guy. He's so tall. So how do you do it? That's a perfect way. Usa frases donde puedes decir lo mismo, pero usando ambas, right? He's so happy. He's such a happy guy. Until you never mix up so and such again. And the last one I wanted to highlight too is the for and during. You don't know how many times I've heard people say, I've been living in Madrid during 10 years. No. For, en este caso. For, duración, since, que viene con fecha de comienzo. All right, let's see who's with us here in our group. We've got Born to Iron Man. He says, "Sup, friends, here we go." He's always here with the right attitude, the right mindset. Welcome aboard, buddy. Great to have you with us. There's Chris Valrol. She says, "Morning, fantastic show with no namers. Practice makes perfect." It's true. It's true. Ask anybody who's ever mastered anything, and they'll say, even if I was born with a certain gift, don, talento, I still had to develop it, right? So practice makes perfect. I mean, it's cliche, but it's so true. And then she says, inspiration also helps a lot. And it's one of the things we find here. Oh, thank you so much, Chris. Your comment was inspirational. Let's see, we've got Born to Iron Man, and he is participating in our pop quiz. He says, have you ever attended the trivia night? Great. Of course I have, if you're asking me. Y muy bien. Eso es un false friend. Have you ever assisted? I remember a student told me once, Alberto, I can't assist the class tomorrow. I'm like, we don't need your help. We're good. Thanks. I appreciate it, but we've got it under control. And she goes, no, but I can't assist. I'm like, yeah, again, thank you, but we got it. And then I realized you say asistir, no atender. O sea, yo hubiese dicho, no puedo atender la clase, ¿sí? So I get it. Those false friends work both ways. Okay, so excellent. Y además, Born to Iron Man, no has puesto attend to, que es un error común cuando queremos asistir. Y sé de dónde viene. No puedo asistir a la clase. So I can't attend to, dice la gente, pero sería I can't attend the class. Excellent job. Have you ever attended the trivia night? Then he said, so you have an appointment next 4th of November. Absolutely. Born to Iron Man, it would be awesome if you could make it, but I know that's not gonna be. Como decimos, that's a tall order. Estamos pidiendo mucho ya. That is a tall order. And the last one, she goes, as I've fear. Now, ojo, aquí no podemos contraer. Aquí es, as I have a fear of heights. So, I've es cuando es el auxiliar, have. Ok, pero aquí es el verbo principal, entonces no podemos conjugar en este caso. As I have a fear of heights, or as I'm afraid of heights, los dos te valen, ok? I'd never go bungee jumping. All right. Just a little adjustment there, un mini ajuste con el as I have, right? Chris Valrol says, and she's talking about today's Say What soundbite, I heard a guy whose accent I can't pinpoint. Well, I'll tell you this. He's from Britain. He's from Great Britain. That's correct. And she says, I'd say he's talking about dance. He mentioned something about enjoying, I guess, dancing. And I think he also says my theater. Well, he definitely mentioned something about the theater. No doubt about it. And dance? All right, well, I'll tell you what. You're on the right track, Chris. You are definitely on the right track. And, okay, it's not as difficult as yesterday's. Yesterday, we looked at Ali G, right, at Sacha Baron Cohen. But it's up there. It's definitely close to that. All right, let's see. Chris is participating also in our pop quiz. She says, have you ever been to Copenhagen? And the answer is no. I've never been there. I'm dying to go. It seems amazing. She says, I find it beautiful. Then she says, I've made a dentist appointment for February. Great. Take a look at those pearly whites. Eso es otra forma de decir los dientes. Your pearly whites. Yeah, don't forget to make a dentist appointment. I know I thought when I was in my 20s for about 3 years, I'm like, I don't need to go to the dentist regularly. And then you know what? When I went back to the dentist, I had to spend like 4,000 euros to get my mouth back where it was. And then I said to the dentist, see, if I had just gone every 6 months or or once a year, depending on your situation, I would have saved money because then I wouldn't have had to dish out, right? To shell out, lo vimos ayer, soltar, tons, a couple grand. A couple grand is varios miles de euros. So definitely worth doing, right? Don't put it off because in the end, it'll end up being more expensive. Let's see. Also, she says, I don't know if I dare try bungee jumping. Muy bien. Now, why do we call it bungee jumping? Pues, ¿sabéis esa cuerda elástica que tiene dos ganchos en cada lado? You see it in the garage, ¿no? En el garaje, mi padre siempre los tenía, right? Those are called bungee cords. Yeah, that's right. If you want to strap something down. So, same idea. It's an elastic cord. We call it bungee jumping. I always thought that was a funny word, bungee jumping. Well, nobody asked me, but I've done it. I've bungee jumped several times. Yeah, I don't know if I would do it now, but I also skydived many times as well. So excellent job, folks. Let's see. Born to Iron Man says, yes, Chris, I have estado in Copenhagen, and it's mind-boggling how many bicycles there are in that Danish city. You smell that, folks? It's a totally native, all right. Yeah, mind-boggling. Es perplejo, te deja perplejo. Yeah, I think anywhere in those Nordic countries, in Holland, I mean, there are so many. I think there are more bicycles than people in those countries. All right, well, excellent job. What can I say? Knocking it out of the park, my amigos. But now we've got to move on to today's news report.
This is the news report on the show with no name, bringing you the latest breaking news. I'm Alberto Alonso, reporting live.
All right, let's see what wacky news is happening around the world. All right, well, we are going to New York, as we call it, New York. And a New York resident's home security camera. It's very common now to have these home security cameras. Well, this camera captured the moment, the exact moment, that a package, no package, sino idge, that a package, dilo conmigo, a package was stolen from their porch by a masked porch pirate. Masked con máscara. And porch es el porche de una casa, no el coche, el porche de una casa. And this crook critter, este animal, este bicho, was none other than a raccoon. Do you know this word? Raccoon. It's a Beatles song. And Rocky Raccoon checked into his room only to find Gideon's Bible. Rocky Raccoon. A raccoon is a mapache. That's why they said a masked. Have you ever seen a raccoon? They look like they're wearing a mask. Where I grew up, it's commonplace. Es muy común. So this wasn't in New York City. It was upstate New York, as we call it. And a resident had a box which contained $93 worth of pet food. Pienso, you call it, pet food. Okay? And it was meant to be returned. So they left it in a bin, un recipiente, on the porch. And FedEx was supposed to pick it up. It happens to all of us. You order the wrong size and, well, you leave it there and they pick it up and you can return it that way. Well, a local raccoon had other plans and decided to shred the box and eat the contents, to feast on the contents. Darse un festín, I think you say. Sure, the raccoon, well, they got a good sense of smell. So he was like, I think I smell some pet food over here. So, of course, the animal did what an animal would do. Rip the box open and start eating the contents. But the funniest part is, the animal's smart. because a few nights later, the animal returned to the scene of the crime. Yeah. He's like, I wonder if there's any more food over here. Now, the good news is, since everything was caught on camera, the company, the pet food company named Chewy es algo que es chewy, masticable, pero también chewy es, a ver cómo lo traducen. Chewy is masticable, chicloso. Yeah, like toffee. Like toffee. How do you say toffee? I'm learning some new words today here too. Toffee. Toffee. Oh, you say the same thing. Okay, all right. I never heard people say that. So it's como caramel, no? Caramelo es de sirope. It's chewy, right? Chewy and gooey. Gooey is pegajoso. And so the good news is they were able to get a full refund, even though the box was tampered with, manipulado. But I'll tell you something. Where I come from, it's not uncommon to wake up in the middle of the night because you hear a sound. And usually when you go out and check what it is, it's a bear, a raccoon, or who knows, any wild animals. So yes, folks, at least the story had a happy ending. But when I was preparing it, I started cracking up because the animal said, all right, I remember around this area, there was a lot of food. And they caught the animal going back to the scene of the crime. All right, amigos, we have got to go to a quick commercial break. I can't believe it. We are halfway through the show, and we still have tons more to cover. So if I were you, I wouldn't even think of going anywhere. Stick around. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the second half of today's show with no name on Vaughn Radio. And don't forget, we've got tons of other amazing shows on Vaughn Radio. Right after today's show, you've got Speaking with Confidence with Ale, our latest, greatest addition to Vaughn Radio. Tune in. After that, you've got the Lunchtime Show. Then you've got Ruby. Also, Jules Linares. And Let's Get Random. Followed by The Salad with Dave Boys. After that, you can face tons of challenges with my buddy Kyle Miller on the Drive Time Show. A perfect way to make your commute home more exciting, more enriching. That's Kyle Miller and his program, Drive Time. Also, you've got Chris Frank in Frankly Speaking. You've got Richard Vaughn live, the man himself. You've got Jessica Fernandez and the Hour to Empower. Don't forget about Rob Grams and the Pro Bow Show, where he gives you hot takes. That means unpopular opinions. Another way to say it, hot takes. And then you've got an appointment with Fitz in his master class, Know excuses. All of those are available on Vaughn Radio, on the app, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's kick things off with another challenge. It's Homophones on the Show with No Name.
Homophones on the show with no name. It's homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. Homophones on the show with no name. Cause homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name.
Show it no, show it no. That's right, amigos. This is where we look at those tricky words, those words that you either know how to pronounce or you don't. And here's where I see A, if you know the words, and B, if you know their correct pronunciation. Now, the first word is very similar in Spanish. Alusión. Alusión. En inglés es con otra L, pero la cuestión es cómo se pronuncia. So, alusión o referencia, right? This is a passing reference. Okay, so the word is alusión. You can also say a nod, un guiño, right? A nod or a wink. That would be another way to say this. N-O-D. No es nod, it's nod. La O es una A pura y dura, right? Like stop. It's not stop. It's stop. Ah. Right? Again, don't worry about what letter's there. Just worry about the way it sounds, right? Because in English, if you think, pero es una O, yeah, that's just going to throw you off. Don't ever think about what letter it really is, because a lot of times we don't even pronounce the letter. Look at the word dumb. It's not dumb. It's dumb, right? So, hey, that's just something, I see with my daughter all the time. I think about it. I'm like, if she knew how the word was spelled, that might even confuse her more. Now, eventually she'll know how the words are spelled the more she reads and writes. But I prefer that she knows how to say them first, and then we can get into reading them and writing them down. But the first thing is to be familiar with them. All right, so the first one is alusión, referencia. Okay, and the second word is impresión, espejismo, delirio, okay? Something that's not real, okay? Also, it's in la magia, we call it a truco, okay? Prestidigitación, I never saw that one. It can also be engaño, ilusión, espejismo, right? So we talk about it, something that we think we're seeing. Right? Si añadimos la palabra optical delante, pues es una ilusión óptica. You know, those ones that play with your eyes and trick your eyes. All right, so the first word, alusión. The second one, espejismo, impresión, delirio, something that is not real. All right, what are those words, and do they sound exactly the same or not? Also, I'm going to give you guys your Say What soundbite. It's a tough one, I know. Do your best. Here it is for the third time.
No, let me tell you, like, jazz is the last refuge of the untalented. Jazz musicians enjoy themselves far more than anyone listening to them. It's like theatre. It's what you do when you can't get a gig.
Alberto, estoy leyendo un cómic y me estoy dando cuenta de que todas las onomatopeyas que salen son verbos en inglés.
Of course, man. We love making it easy.
Por ejemplo, aquí pone chomp y está un animal masticando.
Sure, to chomp.
Es mascar, ¿no?
Sí, mascar. Y lo haces con tus piños. You're chompers.
Ah, chompers es los piños grandotes, ¿no? Vale, y to click, por ejemplo.
To click. Well, to click is what you do on a computer. You click. Pinchar.
Perfecto, pinchas con el ratón. Claro, tiene sentido. To gulp.
Well, before I was gulping my soda. Gulp, 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 gulp.
Claro, estás tragando como un pato.
Eso es, no es lo mismo que sip.
Bien. To thump.
Thump. Don't thump your fist on the table. No des un pum, pum en la mesa.
De hecho, el conejito de Bambi se llamaba Thumper.
Eso es, todo tiene sentido en inglés.
Claro que sí, por eso hemos hecho el tercer libro de This Book is the Milk, que se llama This Book is the Shit.
Este libro es la leche. Por Alberto Alonso
y Damián Moya.
Así da gusto aprender. Y lo sabes.
And you know it. You can pick up our materials at Vaughn Tienda. Again, I've got 5 books. Today, if you enjoyed our pop quiz, that was from Inglés Gramática Fácil. We've got everything. We've even got online courses. We've got Disney Vaughn English for the kids and so much. Again, all you have to do is stop by, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can lead you in the right direction. We can tell you, listen, this is a book that will help you a lot, or this course will help you a lot. And then again, it's up to you if you choose to buy that book or to sign up for that course, but at least you know what you need to work on. All right, now let's go on over to our group over here. Let's see. We've got Born to Iron Man participating, and he has given us the 2 words, and he says they sound alike. All right, the words are correct. So great job. Chris Valrol, she says the 2 words, and she says, I'd say they're not homophones. Well, what if I were to tell you that both of you are right? Well, let me explain. First, you're both right. In fact, I'm just gonna read what Google says, because Google never gets it wrong. Joking. But the question, though illusion and illusion aren't quite homophones, they sound so similar that they are extremely easy to mix up. So what is it? No. So the first one's illusion. Pero a la hora de decirlas, no se distingue. What are you alluding to? That's an illusion. O sea, when I say them, I can tell you, I don't know, I can't tell you about my English counterparts, but I can say when I say those 2 words, I say them exactly the same. Okay, there's no difference. In fact, when I was a kid, I thought they were the same things, right? I thought the word was the same. And then I'm like, wait, that one starts with an A and that one starts with an I? Now, technically, it's illusion, but we say both of them as illusion. So es como una A, pero no llega a ser una I. So you are both right. Technically, they're not. They should be pronounced a little bit differently. But most people I know, including myself and everybody I grew up with, because if I thought they were the same word, it's because they obviously sounded exactly the same. So excellent job to Born to Iron Man and Chris Valrol. On paper, they're not. But we don't live on paper, right? I always say, yeah, grammar rules are nice, but we don't care about them. You know, a native speaker is not concerned with speaking grammatically correct. Believe me, they just want to say what they said, and usually they get that from their mom or their dad, right? Their influences, the people who they learn to speak from. And I can tell you this, just like in Spain, just because you're a native speaker doesn't mean that you speak correctly. In fact, I realized it when I started teaching. I go, oh my God, so many mistakes that people are making. Now, again, don't ever correct a native speaker because that's the way they learned, okay? Like another example too, I ain't going. Our teachers wouldn't let us use that word. I am not I ain't, right? However, we would always use it. And the teachers would say, well, it's not in the dictionary. Well, I've got news for you, teachers. It is in the dictionary now. So we can use it. But I get what the teachers were doing. They didn't want us to sound uneducated. So again, it's a question of the way you sound, the way you come off. And nobody questions a native speaker usually. You know, you go to Chicago, you're not going to be like, did that guy say that right? Well, everybody else seems to understand him. But if you're speaking a different language, if you're speaking English as a second language, it's better to kind of follow the rules or the guidelines. I hate the word rules. It sounds so strict. The rules. Yeah, we don't care about the rules. Talk to your friends. Talk to your Spanish friends, your grandparents. Do they use everything perfectly? You know how many times I've heard people say entonces? It's not. It's an entonces. Que hay mucha gente que se come la N. And I have never, ever heard anybody say the word cuñado. O sea, con la D. I've always heard cuñado, right? In fact, it sounds weird if you're like, este fin de semana voy a ver a mi cuñado. What? Cuñado. Now, we all know cuñado is the correct way to say it. But again, you have to convince the rest of Spain to start adding that D. Another example, Americans. If I was you, I wouldn't do that. Sería if I were you. Pero nos da igual. We don't care. We're like, yeah, it's not grammatically correct. Well, it's not my problem. I'm not taking an exam, right? I'm going to renew my driver's license and about el permiso de conducir, whatever, you know? And again, they've never had a problem being understood. So I always urge my students, you know, try and learn the right way to say things. It's just like if, you know, you taught me, bueno, los laísmos, sí, puedes decirlo, no pasa nada. Sí, puedo, pero prefiero no. I'd rather say it correctly. And so these are what we call these native mistakes. It almost reminds me of poetic license, you know, in songs. You don't have to follow grammar rules in songs. And I feel like native speakers feel the same. Why do I have to follow the rules? I'm not taking an English test here. I'm just, you know, buying some beers at the corner deli. I can get by just fine. So excellent job in our homophones. All right, we've got to move on to Wacky World Records.
Wacky World Records. These are the wackiest records in the whole wide world.
That's right, folks. Welcome to Wacky World Records. And as I said, today's Wacky World Records has to do with the word we saw during our pop quiz, and that word is bungee jumping. And as I always tell you when we look at activities, apréndelos todos con el go. Have you ever gone bungee jumping? Are you going to go bungee jumping? Are you going to go camping? Are you going to go kayaking? Are you going to go whitewater rafting? Right? Esto es por los rápidos. All right. So any activity, we usually put a go before it. And it's a good way to practice because I've heard people say, are you going to do snow? That sounds like my member is going to get very cold. Are you going to make snow? Well, I don't have a snow making machine, right? So I'm going to go snowboarding, right? I'm going to go skiing. I'm going to go. Add your favorite activities there. But just remember that go, when you're in doubt, es con make, es con do, normalmente es con go. All right. So what are we talking about here? Bungee jumps? Well, what if I told you we're talking about cars bungee jumping? What? Can cars bungee jump? Yeah, why not? You can connect anything to the bungee cord, can't you? You can connect a person. You can connect an elephant to it. I don't know if that would be cruelty to animals, but this record is for the highest car bungee jump. And there's another word, highest. I've heard, tú piensas la G y la H están ahí solo para confundirte. The highest. Es como decir, hi, how are you? Suena igual. So the highest car bungee jump. Yeah, you thought it was the human version we're looking at, but no. And a professional stuntman. A stuntman is somebody who does stunts. You call them especialistas, if I'm not mistaken. So a professional stuntman and race car driver, okay, a race car driver es un piloto. You call them pilots. We don't. We call them a race car driver. Well, he sat in the driver's seat of a Nissan Qashqai, you know, this SUV. You say 4x4. We don't. Well, it is 4x4, but we don't call it. Because if you tell me 4x4, I'm thinking it's either the kind of transmission it has, or I'm thinking a quad or something like that. So to be more specific, un 4x4, este vehículo que está muy de moda, we call it an SUV. Do you know what it stands for? Go ahead, ask me if you don't know. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Qué significa SUV? What does SUV stand for? Oh, great. I thought you'd never ask. SUV stands for Sport Utility Vehicle. And he took one of these Qashqai, these Nissan ones, and it was dropped from a crane. You know the word crane? Grua. It was dropped from a crane at a height of 213 feet and 3 inches. Esos 3 pulgadas, really important. Well, that is the equivalent in meters, 65 meters. So a car bungee jumped 65 meters, again, with the help of a professional stuntman and race car driver, a guy named Laurent Lascaux. Okay, there are all kinds of people out there in this world, and these are the kind of people that interest me. The guy who woke up one morning, he goes, are there any records for car bungee jumps? No. I'm going to be that guy. And he woke up and he did it. And now we're talking about Laurent Lascaux. And basically, they dropped it from this crane, which was about 65 meters in the air. The car bounced up and down, because that's what makes it different. When you skydive, and again, I've done both, you jump out of the plane, and really there are 2 parts to a skydive, okay? There's the, oh shit, my heart is going to pop out of my chest part. And then there's the, oh, how relaxing and peaceful part. Now, obviously, one is pre-shoot, and one is after you pull the chute. Chute is another way to say parachute, okay? So, but in a bungee jump, it's like, okay, you jump, it's, oh shit, my heart's going to pop out of my chest. And then you go up again and you fall again. So you've got a couple free falls in the same jump. And the car bounced up and down at the end of the bungee cord, and it safely came to a rest. Now, if it hadn't safely come to a rest, then they wouldn't have set the world record. Obviously, it had to be completed without any damage to the car, and the car was in one piece. So there it is, folks, the highest car bungee jump at 65 meters, and it's a record held by Laurent Lascaux and his SUV. All right, amigos, that was our wacky world records. Right now, it's time for our Spelling Bee.
Spelling Bee. Spelling Bee. Spelling Bee. Spelling Bee. Spelling Bee.
All right, folks, welcome to our Spelling Bee. That's right, it is time for our Spelling Bee. As always, I am going to spell some words for you. Today, we've got some numbers in here as well. So today, we're going to up the ante, as the expression goes. Vamos a poner más en juego. Va a ser un poco más difícil. As always, you'll get 2 chances. I'll fly through it on the first go, and on the second one, I'll go at a more normal pace. I'm not going to go slow. I refuse. Why? Well, you guys have got a pretty high level of English, so I don't want to baby anybody. In fact, that's been something I've always said since I started teaching classes. I'm like, I want to challenge my students. I don't want them to be like, oh, that was easy. We didn't have to work too hard. And I want you to sweat just enough, right? Because I don't want you to say, oh, this is impossible. I can't do this, because that's not good either. But everybody loves a good challenge. So round 1, good luck. Here we go, my amigos. The first word is BELL space XS-1. The next one is MUROC space ARMY space AIR space FIELD. The next one is CHUCK space YEAGER. The fourth one, SOUND space BARRIER. The next one is MACH space 1.05. And the last one is BRIGADIER space GENERAL. All right. Now that was fast, folks, but let's see. Let's see if somebody was able to get it on the first go. Give you about 30 seconds here. And if not, I will repeat them in a moment. All right. Going once. Going twice. Tough one. Yeah, the numbers make it tough, right? It adds an extra element to it. And again, most people in Spain, I can tell you from experience, would not even come near getting that on the first go. Not even half. They wouldn't get half of it. Ni la mitad. Okay, I'm telling you based on, all the students I've had. So if you practice this, you're definitely in your own class, let's say. Pun intended, en tu propia clase, pero clase de inglés. Okay, all right. Well, you know me. I like to make light of the situation because I know this can be a really tough part. All right, hang on. I was just about to start, but Born to Iron Man thinks he's got it. Let's see. Born to Iron Man, the first one is correct. So is the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Unbelievable. Wow. Unbelievable. Excellent. And you probably know what they have in common. If not, I will tell you, because as you guys know, it's usually, our spelling bee is usually linked to some kind of event, acontecimiento, that happened in history. All right, let's do round two. And again, I think anybody listening right now should be able to jot this down. No problem. Here we go. The first one is BELL space XS dash or hyphen 1. The next one, MUROC space ARMY space AIR space FIELD. The third one, CHUCK space YEAGER. The fourth one, SOUND space BARRIER. The fifth one is MACH space 1.05. And the sixth one is BRIGADIER space GENERAL. Amigos, we are going to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with the rest of today's show. So stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back. This is the fourth and final part of today's show with no name. Wonderful job to all our students. who are participating. Also, a shout out to everybody who tunes in via podcast. Remember, all of these episodes are available on your favorite podcast platform: Spotify, iVoox, Apple Podcasts. And you can find this show, the Lunchtime Show, Drive Time, hours and hours of English learning every day at your fingertips for free. That's the key word. Because the only thing you have to invest then is time and energy, right? Well, you need an internet connection, at least, right? But really, it saves you a lot of cash. Mucha pasta que te ahorras. I know 20 years ago, you didn't have this option, right? You had to have a satellite because there wasn't even cable. Tenías que tener un satélite para pillar dos cadenas en inglés, you know. Or you had to go to the press, a newspaper stand, and you might be able to find, you know, a magazine or a newspaper in English, but it wasn't as easy as it is now. But also, that means you guys have no excuses. Our grandparents, they had an excuse. Oh, tengo que ir al extranjero. Oh, tengo que gastar miles de euros en ir a una academia. Yeah. So now it's never been easier. All right, amigos, let's rock and roll. We have got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's kick things off with our double trouble.
Yeah. Double trouble, baby. Yeah, you know what time it is. Give it up. Double trouble. I said double trouble. Double trouble. I said double trouble.
All right, amigos, today's double trouble comes from Elena. Great job, Elena. Thank you for contributing to the show. And here we go. Let's see if you guys know this. Now, this is what Elena has done here is said, okay, I learned something new. I'm going to write it down and send it to AA. And then I'm going to make sure that my fellow classmates know it as well. And that is magical. All right, Elena. Well, Elena, everybody except Elena. Elena knows it already. Here we go. Le gusta la sopa como entrante en el comedor de beneficencia. Esa me cuesta la vida, ¿eh? Es mucho más fácil en inglés eso. All right, so, le gusta la sopa como entrante en el comedor de beneficencia. I'm glad I don't have to say that word very often in Spanish. All right? All right, there you go, folks. If it's difficult, talk to Elena. All right, also, let me give you the Say What soundbite. It seems a little bit difficult, but don't worry. We'll take a look at what's being said, the accent, and all that jazz before the end of today's show. So here it is for the fourth and final time.
No, let me tell you, like, jazz is the last refuge of the untalented. Jazz musicians enjoy themselves far more than anyone listening to them. It's like theatre. It's what you do when you can't get a gig.
Listen carefully. Can you hear that? No. Listen closer. I'm not talking about the birds chirping. I'm talking about everybody speaking English and feeling comfortable. Listen. This is what it's like at Vaughntown, a peaceful place where you can really learn English and lose your inhibitions. There's a reason it's one of our star programs. Vaughan Town. Lose your fear of speaking English. If you want more information about this immersive experience, go to grupovon.com or give us a call, 911-385831. Lose your fear of speaking English and express yourself with clarity at Vaughan Town. That's right, folks. Vaughan Town. It will change your life, not just your English, because I know it firsthand. I know many people who have come out of Vaughan Town with a new bounce in their step. To have a new bounce or to have some bounce te da una energía renovada, right? Que de repente estás pegando botes en vez de andando. And that is Vaughan Town. It is, I think, one of the coolest initiatives that we've ever come up with. Well, that Vaughan has ever come up with. And it's a great thing. Again, something if our grandparents and our parents had, maybe they would speak better English. But now you've got it. You don't have to leave Spain to get a full-on immersive experience. It's called Vaughan Town, and you can get more information at our website, grupovon.com. All right, now let's go on over here to our chat room. I see we've got some students participating in Elena's Double Trouble Challenge here. The good thing, nobody put soap. Bueno, he visto gente confundir soap, jabón, and soup, right? And one thing you don't want is a soup that tastes like soap, do you? I wouldn't. That sounds pretty nasty. Nasty is another way of saying disgusting. All right, let's see. Chris is going to take a stab at it. She also figured out our spelling bee, so great job. Great job, Born to Iron Man and Chris Balrol in our spelling bee. It's a tough one today. Muchos vocales, había números, so excellent job, folks. All right, Chris says he likes soup as a starter at the soup kitchen. Absolutely. He likes soup as a starter or as an appetizer. You can say either one, a starter or an appetizer. Just be careful because an entree sounds like entrada, no? No, it's a plato principal. You can say a main dish, a main course. You can also say entree. You'll hear a lot, which again, it's quite confusing. I've had people look at menus and be like, entree, un solo míos, un entrante? No, eso es plato principal, right? So excellent. Yes, he likes soup as a starter at the soup kitchen. Also, Born to Iron Man got it as well. Excellent. Yeah, we call it a soup kitchen. Now, I imagine because the earliest ones served soup. Because think about it. Okay, we have some chicken bones, we have some carrots, so what do? You put all those into a big pot and you can feed a lot of people with soup, right? And you get the vitamins, you get the collagen from the meat bone. Then in the end, you can throw a lot of different ingredients and make a soup or a stew. Now, I know that they don't specifically, they serve all kinds of things, sometimes lasagna, sometimes different things. But when they first started, at least in the United States, it was soup. Also think about that too, in the winter. A nice cup of soup with some veggies in it, some chicken, some whatever, some beef stock. Well, that'll, it's hearty, copioso. It'll stick to your bones. It's not just like eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or, even a cheese sandwich. That's okay, but it's not going to give you the same nutrition as a hearty soup. And the word hearty is contundente, right? Copioso, a hearty meal. A ver cómo lo traducen aquí. So we call these soup kitchens. Yeah, hearty, abundante, sustancioso. O sea, como una sopa, un guisado. You say plato de cuchara, we say a hearty meal. A meal that sticks to your bones. ¿Lo pillas? Que te alimenta, ¿no? Se te pega a los huesos, es bueno para ti. So a soup kitchen, it's a place that serves food for the needy. The needy is another way of saying la gente que necesita, los que no tienen. So you say comedor comunitario, comedor popular, comedor de beneficencia. competencia, esa me cuesta, comedor social, we call it una cocina de sopa. And everybody knows that it's a place where you can go and have a hot meal. There's another thing, you can give people sandwiches, but there's nothing like a hot meal. So I guess it's a good way to remember why we chose the word soup, because it was probably one of the first things they served at a soup kitchen. Excellent job, Elena, for suggesting it, and also Chris Valrol and Born to Iron Man. Yeah, Chris says, absolutely. A good soup is a very nutritious dish. Absolutely. In fact, in Spain, you guys know that. Hacéis cocido madrileño, hacéis fabada. These kind of, a soup can be anything with liquid that you eat with a spoon. So when we say soups, we're also talking about stews, guisos. The word stew is guiso, which in Spain, you guys you even have a word, platos de cuchara. And I think the best way to define that in English would be a hearty meal, a nice, warm, hearty meal. All right, well, excellent job, but we have got to move on. Let's take a look at our spelling bee words. Again, great job, Born to Iron Man and Chris Valrol. Today, in the year 1947, a guy named Chuck Yeager, you recognize that name? That was number 3 in our spelling bee. Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier. That was number 4. So Chuck Yeager, number 3, sound barrier number 4. And he reached Mach 1.05. You say 1,05. We say 1.05, right? Remember, your punto decimal is una coma. And we don't say much. I know in Spanish you say much 3, right? The speed. So we say Mach. I guess that might be the German pronunciation. Mach. La CH es una K cuando hablamos de velocidad. So Mach 1.05, which was number 5. And he is, or was, a brigadier general. A ver cómo traducen esto. I'm not really good with my military. Brigadier General, General de la Brigada. Oh, okay, well, it makes sense. Sometimes it's easier than you think it's going to be. So a brigadier general, that was his position. The plane was the Bell XS-1, okay? And that X stands for experimental, aunque empieza con una E. The same way, if you see the word F-18, it's a fighter, no? Es un caza. If you see the word B-52, que es muy famoso, bomber, no? Uno que bombardea. So again, a lot of times you can tell what kind of plane it is just by looking at the letter before it. You're like, okay, this was experimental because it has the X before it. It's a beautiful plane, small plane, the Bell XS-1. And number 2 was the Muroc Army Airfield. And this is where he did that amazing feat. Esa hazaña, esa proeza. And this was now, it's called Edwards Air Force Base, and it's located in California. So there you go, folks. A little bit of aviation history there, breaking the sound barrier today. And that was Chuck Yeager, and the year was 1947. All right, there's actually a movie. Have you seen the movie, The Right Stuff? Excellent movie about this amazing event. And speaking of movies, you know what time it is. Name that movie. That's right, amigos. Welcome to Name That Movie here on the show with no name. All right, let's see if you get the movie based on the synopsis. Okay. When a boy learns that a beloved killer whale is to be killed by the aquarium owners, the boy risks everything to free the whale. Easy, right? Think about it. To free the whale. I won't tell you the whale's name because then I've just given you the title of the movie. So when a boy learns, se da cuenta, se entera, no es aprender tanto. that a beloved killer whale, orca, a killer whale, an orca, is to be killed. Now, when we use this structure, he is to be congratulated at the end of the day. Está programado por pasar. Okay? So, se espera. Okay? So the killer whale is to be killed by the aquarium owners. Okay? And un acuario, we say aquarium. Parecido, pero nosotros tenemos una M ahí al final. Aquarium owners, los dueños. The boy risks everything. Arriesga todo to free the whale. Ladies and gentlemen, our movie queen figured it out. Give it up for Chris Valrol. Free Willy. What did you call it? In Spanish, liberando a Willy? I don't know. That's interesting. We call it Free Willy, and it's a movie that came out in 1993. It stars Jason James Richter, Lori Petty, and Michael Madsen. I remember this movie coming out like it was yesterday, and it was a long time ago. I feel old. All right, well, let's take a look at the scene here. Jesse says, so how much they paying you to be my jailer? O sea, ¿cuánto te están pagando por ser el que me tiene? So the jailer is carcelero, guardia. Okay, the jailer is the person who's keeping an eye on the person in jail, on the prisoner, right? So the jailer, just so you know, it's not the person behind bars. It's the person who's keeping an eye on the bars to make sure you stay behind them. Okay, here it says carcelero. I'd never heard that word before, or guardia también. So how much they paying you to be my jailer? And Glenn clears his throat. Okay. And he goes, a jailer, huh? Carcelero, eh? He says, yeah, boy, I'm making such a great deal on you. You wouldn't believe it. O sea, es un chollazo y no te lo creerías. He goes, you're a regular cash cow, kid. O sea, eres una gallina con huevos de oro. O sea, me estás trayendo mucho dinero. We say a cash cow, una vaca que da efectivo en vez de leche. Think of it that way. He goes, that plus $1 million, and I could probably retire by the time I'm 300 years old. Está diciendo básicamente que nada, right? He goes, eso, más $1 million y puedo jubilarme cuando tenga 300 años. And he goes, look, you're going to have to help me out a little bit here, okay? Me vas a tener que echar un cable aquí, okay? He says, Dwight says that I was supposed to make some rules for you, crear algunas reglas. And the problem is, I've always been a better rule breaker than rule maker myself. So dice, yo siempre he sido mejor rompiendo las reglas que poniéndolas, right? A rule breaker than a rule maker. And he goes, so you're going to have to tell me what you think you need. Me vas a tener que decir lo que necesitas. And Chris says the movie is called Liberad a Willy. Okay, well, we call it Free Willy. And there's Chris participating in today's Say What soundbite. Close. He doesn't say dance. He says jazz. The word he says there over and over is jazz. La música, jazz. But of course, with that Manchester accent, it is tough. All right, amigos, we have got to move on. So let's take a look at our famous birthday trivia.
Birthdays for you. Birthdays for me. Birthdays for everyone on the show with no name. Birthdays for him. Birthdays for her. Birthdays for everyone on the show with no name.
All right, let's take a look at our famous birthday trivia over here. We've got the first person. His name is acomodador. So, yeah, the person who seats you at a wedding or at something like this. And he's got a lot of songs out there. He's got You Remind Me. He's got Yeah, Yeah. The song is called Yeah. And I know if you've heard it, the second you hear it again, you'd say, Yeah, Yeah. I know that one. He's also got the song My Boo. Okay. Mi abucheo. Well, also Mi Churri. I think I would translate it as My Boo, Mi Churri. Okay. Which he did with Alicia Llaves, by the way. Well, this guy has been in the game since he was 15. Acomodador is his name, if we translate it. Number 2, this American actress was born today in 1963. She was in Free Willy. I just said her name. Yeah, Free Willy. Also, she was in A League of Their Own, Cadillac Man, Point Break, que creo que lo llamáis, y le llaman Body. And last but not least, this English actor, comedian, producer, and screenwriter born in the Manchester area. Well, he's been in many, many movies, including Tropic Thunder, Night at the Museum. Oh, he's awesome in that. My daughter loves him. 24-Hour Party People, which is about the Manchester music scene. He was also in the movie The Trip to Spain. He was in The Trip to Italy and the predecessor, The Trip. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got a winner already. Unbelievable. Chris Valrol. Number 1, Usher. Eso es, acomodador. And I say, yeah, yeah, yeah. That song makes you want to boogie. Number 2, Lori Petty. And number 3, actor, I love him, Steve Coogan. Although I can only understand half of what he says, he is awesome. What a character. And this is him in 24-Hour Party People. And it's about Manchester, well, Madchester, as they call that scene. And he goes, now let me tell you, deja que te cuente, jazz is the last refuge of the untalented. Okay, es el último refugio de los que no tienen talento. He says jazz musicians enjoy themselves far more than anyone listening to them. O sea, los que se lo pasan mejor ellos que los que le están escuchando. He says, it's like theater. Es como teatro. It's what you do when you can't get a gig. Es lo que haces cuando no encuentres otro trabajo, otro bolo. Here he is, Mancunian Steve Coogan.
No, let me tell you, like, jazz is the last refuge of the untalented. Jazz musicians enjoy themselves far more than anyone listening to them. It's like theatre. It's what you do when you can't get a gig.
Hi, hello, Alberto. I think the song is... No? Sorry, bye.
Name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. Name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. It's name that lyric only on the show with no name.
Folks, excellent job. What can I say? You did great in the double trouble, in the spelling bee, in homophones. And thank you once again for all the energy you put into the show. And I hope you're getting out of it as much as you're putting into it. And I know you are, because I've spoken English to many of you. And wow, I'm proud. I'm really proud. All right. Well, today's song is My Boo. Acabo de decirte qué significa. Mi churri. Mi cari, right? My boo. And this is Acomodador, birthday boy Usher, and Alicia Llaves, Alicia Keys. And it starts out, there is always that one person that will always have your heart. Hay siempre esa persona que tendrá el sitio en tu corazón. You'll never see it coming, no lo ves venir, 'cause you're blinded from the start. My baby, you will always be my boo. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure, and we'll be back tomorrow with more. I promise. Ciao for now. Sing along with us. The song is My Boo by Usher. Usher.